Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. As I talked about in the last video, one of the reasons why I set goals is to help me put systems in place. Now, one of the most important systems in my life is the things that I've got set up in an app called Notion. So today I thought I'd go through a little bit at a high level of what kind of things I use Notion for and how I manage my life with it. So let's get started. So here we are in Notion, and this page here is what I like to call my home dashboard. So one of the things I try and do to make my life easier is try and reduce the number of clicks it takes to achieve some things. If you've watched the other two videos I've released this year, especially my annual review of 2021 video, one of the things I talked about was that some things dropped by the wayside a little bit because they involved too many clicks to get to. So this system still needs tweaking, but this is what it is now. And then what I'm going to do at the end of 2022 is do another review of this system and just see what's changed. But for now, let's just see how it is now. So this is my home dashboard, and this has got all the things in it that I think are important. So I've got a quote here from David Allen's Getting Things Done, because this really is a productivity Bible, and this specific quote just struck a chord with me. Anxiety is caused by lack of control, organisation, preparation and action. Well, yeah, I mean, that's really true when you stop and think about it. I wouldn't necessarily say I feel anxious in like some meanings of the word, but you just never know. So I still think that there's some stress that comes with not being organized, prepared, or feel like you're in control. So yeah, I agree with this quote. Then you've got the weather. So this is using a widget from a company called Indify. I think it's indify.co. And they're free widgets. You can create all sorts of different ones for Notion. Or not even for Notion, you can just create them and they give you like an embed URL that you can then stick into Notion. So for me, I chose a bit of information about Manchester in the next few days because you can select how many days you want to show, but because, let's be honest, the weather changes so much, I didn't see the point doing more than 3 days. This is, of course, custom colour scheme to my brand colours, but you can change it to whatever you like. Then I've got different sections here. So, for example, I've got daily stuff. So I've got morning routine. That's just a checklist of things to do every day. So you've got things like, make the bed, take a shower, all those things. A lot of the time I do these without thinking, but I've got this morning routine that I tick off because not only is it satisfying to tick things off, but also sometimes if my head's all over the place and my ADHD is particularly bad, I might forget something. So these are things that I just jot down that I can tick off. Then we've got the daily check-in. So this is a concept that comes from a book called Make Time that I'm reading at the moment. The idea is that you set a goal for the day. So it's not even a goal, it's like a highlight. It's something that you can achieve in 60 to 90 minutes. And if it takes longer than that, you can always move it to, do the same highlight the day after. But the idea is just to give your day some direction and some focus of what you want to achieve. So if we look at the 18th, for example, you'll see that the goal was to finish an article at work, which I did. Other than that, I also wanted to get the flu cells fixed. And if something gets done, I can just put a tick in. There you go. You can just do tick. There we go. So I tick something off to say it was done. But yeah, the idea is just to highlight, and you can do it based on Netflix template. You do it based on urgency. So there's something that really needs to get done. You do that as your highlight. Maybe you will just want something that will be satisfying to finish, and then something that just brings you joy. If you've got nothing else on your plate and you can choose what you do for that day, you might just choose to do something that makes you happy, whether it's read a book or go for a walk or, just play the piano or just something that brings you joy. But for me, the thing I wanted to get done was to finish this REST-like API article, and then technically this makes for a poor highlight because it's not anything in my control, but the gas engineer did come and fix a flu seal, so progress. So that's my daily check-in that I do every day. Then I've got a chores list, so you can choose what view you see this in, but I do this as a calendar. So I've got a bunch of household chores that are set to a location, a frequency, and what the task is called, and sort of the last date I did it. And so I can just go in and I can tick it off. So for example, tomorrow I've got I've got to do the washing, and that's the utility room because that's where my washing machine is. We've got the data last done, we've got the status. These are actually not functions. Functions. It's code basically that specifies how you do this. A lot of the stuff in this dashboard is me standing on the shoulders of giants. I think a lot of this stuff comes from the work of Thomas Frank. So there's some very clever things going on in here that I can't take credit for. But yeah, it just gives me a list of things to do. So, for example, Sundays is the day that I do most of the chores because I want Saturday to relax after the working week, and often Saturdays when you socialise, and then Sundays I get stuff done. So I've just got this nice calendar view. And then below that, I kind of list things in the day order in the day that I might do them. So, I do my morning routine, then I do the daily check-in, then I might see what chores I've got to do that day. And then, when the day ends, I then do a nightly routine. So that again is the same as the morning routine. It's just a set of things I want to achieve, like, brush my teeth, put my pajamas on, read a book, turn the lights out. Some things like turn the lights out are really obvious. You're going to do them anyway, but they're just there to remind me and to also just have something to tick off, because then you can end the day on a win. What more can you ask for? So that's my home dashboard in terms of daily things. Then we've got work. So this is work in inverted commas because this is more my work outside of my day job rather than my day job. I have a whole separate workspace for my day job, which we can always look at later. But the two main things that I try and do for work are blog posts and videos. So we'll look at video project tracker first because that's what we were talking about. This is what we're here for. We're doing a video. So this is very clever. So I've got this as a Kanban board, but you can choose a different view if you like. And I've just got different columns for the things that matter with the video. So I've got a few ideas here of things I want to do videos about. Then I've got something to doing a research. So if I need to look into something, or whether it's I want to find interesting quotes, or I want to find data to back up a point I'm making, that's where research goes in. Then scripting. Sometimes, not always, I will sit and write a script for a video. If it's something that's really important, I get accurate. A lot of the time, I will just sit and record what I've got to say, and then if it's not completely perfect, it'll either be removed in editing or it's just part of the organic feel I want for this channel. But yeah, sometimes there'll just be things that I will script if it's really important. Then I will potentially review the script. I'll take a break. I'll come back to it and just review whether I think the script looks okay. Then you've got filming. So you can see here we are currently in the filming stage. This is the video we're filming right now. Once that's done, I might be fetching B-roll for it. So that could be things like recording the handwriting I want to show on screen, getting any icons or pictures that I think of or images I want to share. So, once it's in B-roll, it means that the A-roll, which is this kind of thing with the screen share and the camera, that's done. We're just getting the sort of bits to complement the video editing. Then it moves into video editing. Then it'll be scheduled, and then, it becomes published. So they've been published, I don't tend to show published because once it's done, I can always go back and look at it later. But that's our beautiful video. So if we go back to the home page now, that was a video project tracker. And then blog post tracker is actually very similar. It's got boards in different statuses, whether that's ideas, research, writing, proofreading, and obviously published. So, it's not quite as many stages, but there's still things I need to do, like have an idea, research it, write it, and publish it. The last blog post I published was my 2022 goals, because I was like, right, this is something that can have a complimentary written article that won't take long to write, so I'll do it. So if I have an idea, these are things that are important to do. So one of the ideas that I actually had, and I can just literally go in here and fill it out, is migrating from Vercel to Netlify secrets. So I can go in and I can open it, fix the error. So I can just fill things out. So this is an idea. It's a blog post template. And then I can start filling things out. So this is using the video template or variation of it at the moment. So the cover's wrong. A lot of this is a work in progress. I'm very new to actually using the system. So I'm trying to make an effort to kind of worry about the small details later, but just get the overall system working for me. So, we can do things here like write a brief description. Well, for sell stores secrets as a reference, copying, don't copy the reference name. Because I went through something. If you're watching this and you're not technical, don't worry. But basically, I changed how I host my blog post recently from a company called Vercel to a company called Netlify. And I've got like what's considered secret. It's like a key to say, hey, you're allowed to go in and access this information. And so you need to share this information with your hosting provider so that they can use it in your code when you're saying like, hey, using this secret key, go in and access this thing. And I'd made a mistake, so that's what I want to write a blog post about. So that's the blog post track. It's very similar to the video. We can go back to the home page. We've got a whole workspace here. The reason I've just pinned it to the side for now was just so that you didn't have to look at it and get distracted. Because if you're like me, shiny things. But yeah, that's my home dashboard. It's got bits that are important to me. This may change over the course of the year, but for now, this is the system that I'm using. So now if we get the work sidebar back and lock it out, you'll see that I've got various other pages as well. So projects is where I track things I'm working on. So David Allen defines a project as anything that will take 2 or more steps to complete. So something that's like take the recycling out isn't a project because that's one step. You get the recycling, you take it outside. But anything more than that, whether it's like I've got one here, clean upholstery, well, that's going to mean that's off screen because of Zoom. But yeah, so I've got different projects here basically, and they require more than one step. So send Brit goodies to Cinder. So I'm friends with some people at Cinder, which is a design company, and they also do a Nintendo podcast called Nintendo Dispatch, which is cool. But one of the things I said I would do is send them British goods, like I'll make some shortbread biscuits and send them some English tea. But that's more than one step because I need to make the shortbread, I need to get some tea, I need to acquire a box to put them in, I then need to send it off. There's more than one step to doing this. So anything that's more than one step is a project. And I've even got bigger projects here like writing my book, which has the chapter titles and the dates that they're due. So, you can do that however you want. I've even got ones for coding projects. It all just depends what works for you. But for me, I list it as a project, and then inside a project, you can have different things. So, for example, send Brit goods that we already talked about. If it loads, that's taking a minute. It does this sometimes. But yeah, basically, when you go into it, you'll find that each one has a different set of information you can fill out. So you can set subtasks, so you can define what steps are needed. You can even embed tasks and tasks. So it could be that, there you go, so we've got tasks here. So you've got research how to find a bridge, set the lights, set up the Hue bridge automatically, and all those things. But some of these steps you might find require multiple steps. So for example, set up Cog Services resource. This has steps in it within that. So it's create the resource in the portal, add the API key, add the SDK, and initialize the client. So yeah, you can embed as many levels of tasks as you want. The idea is that you're just able to track your projects and you can give them statuses. So for example, the Motor Hue that we were just looking at, which is an app I'm working on, you'll see that I'm currently doing it. It's considered medium energy and it requires a computer. It's not a massive slog, but at the same time, it's medium energy because it's an app and it requires thinking. And it's someday because it's not on my radar at the moment. It's not a priority project. I've got more important things to do. So it's just about prioritizing what you want to do and keeping a track of everything where you've got a place to break down what needs doing. Then you've seen the blog post tracker, video post tracker, home task, which has the chores that you saw in the database. Life documents is exactly what you'd expect. So anything that's important, nothing here was secret, particularly you can't see any of the secrets. But yeah, anything that's deemed important, if I've got a document that I don't want to keep a paper copy of, because there's just no need, I just need the information from it, I will scan it in with the Adobe Scan app on my mobile phone, attach it to the page as a PDF, and then I can just view it. I'm not going to go into any of these because they are obviously private, but yeah, there's just information that's useful, and I can always sort them, and I can add tags. So, anything related to other things goes in here. Mood diaries is what it says in the tin. Just log my physical and mental mood each day. Again, not going into that. That is way too private to share on YouTube. Readwise is a great one. So Readwise is a third-party tool that allows you to import highlights from certain places, especially Kindle. So I use Kindle a lot to read non-fiction books, including, obviously some of the famous ones that I've mentioned recently, like Steal Like an Artist, Atomic Habits, Getting Things Done, and the infamous Make Time. So what I've got set up with Readwise is that it imports my Kindle highlights, but then exports them to this Notion database called Readwise. I can then go into this, book and have a look at some of the things I've quoted. So, for example, it's got all the links here, but then you've got quotes from it. So, being more productive didn't mean I was doing the most important work. It only meant I was reacting to other people's priorities faster. Or, the first thing we learned was that something magic happens when you start the day with one high priority goal. Welcome to the daily highlight. These are things that just resonated with me when I read the book, and so they get a highlight. Getting Things Done by David Allen has probably got a lot of quotes in it because this book really resonated with me. But yeah, it's just brilliant. It's just a way you can go back and you can get quotes from it if you want to use them in videos, or you just want reminding. But the other cool thing about Readwise as well is that there's an app that you can install, and you can get daily emails to remind you to review your highlights. So not only does it help you just, remove any highlights that aren't relevant anymore, but also they remind you of highlights you might have forgotten about. So, I'm making a conscious effort this year to read a lot more non-fiction books. And so I'm hoping that by the end of the year, this library will be a lot bigger. And I'll get to a point where there's quotes I'll have forgotten about because I read the book in, say, January, February, and I'm getting reminded in November. So, I'll be interested to see how much bigger this database gets at the end of the year. The note-taking system is a work in progress. I've not done much of that yet. I need to get my head more around the best way to use it and to sort of integrate it into my workflow and life. And that's all part of Atomic Habits. I just need to build using my note-taking system into a habit that I just do without thinking. Which, talking of, doing without thinking, reminds me of the resonance calendar. So this is a really interesting template. This is actually a template from Ali Abdaal. Again, templates in Notion. You can share them for free and you can use other people's for free. Some charge, but they don't, a lot of them are free, and you can just literally stand on the shoulders of giants. So this is an amazing resonance calendar where anything that you see or read that seems really interesting, like, funny enough, Ali's very own productivity apps video that I saved, you can output it as there's a Notion exporter Chrome plugin that also works in Edge, and I'm sure there's a Firefox equivalent, that will allow you to add something to your resonance calendar. Then you can just go in here and tag it with things that are of interest. So if you need to know about something specific, you can go in and find it. I think this might be linked a little bit to Tiago Forte's Building a Second Brain, because in the second brain, you build this sort of network thought where you group things together and you share a lot of information. And so I think this is very similar, where you can filter things by tags. And if you want to know about something specific, you can have a look at the tags and filter by it. Finances is, as it says in the tin, that it covers my finances. I don't really use it much at the moment because I find that it's very manual, and I already have a manual system in an Excel spreadsheet. It might be Google Sheets actually, but anyway, I've got a browser-based thing where I just log what I get in, what I get out. Regular expenses, one-off purchases. That just tracks everything, so I make sure that I'm saving and I've got enough money and everything. But yeah, so I started to do personal finances, but I didn't find it great. I've not completely written it off yet, which is why it's still here. All tasks is just what's linked to what you saw in the projects. Books database is a really important one to me. So this is the books I've read that year, the category of the author, I give it genres, the date that I finished it. I finished that one. Why is that out of date? I almost finished the 27th, I think. Oh, I got it the wrong way around. No. Anyway, yeah, don't worry about that. That's a problem for me to fix later. But yes, basically I've got a I've got a whole table here that I log about the books, or I even give them a rating and a status, and it just gives me a chance to, you know, find books by an author or the category they're in, and it just, each one when you go into it, you've either got fiction or non-fiction templates for these, and so they'll give you different prompts to fill out depending on what the type of book was, and it's just really helpful. So, you know, the book in 3 sentences, how I discovered it. Oh, that's why it's not, this isn't David Allen's Getting Things Done, this is a different book. This is what happens when you share names. But yes, basically you can go into the books and you can, such an ADHD video, getting distracted by these things I need to fill out. But yeah, basically for the different books, you've got different things to fill out. So for example, get the actual Getting Things Done, the OG, you know, it's a book in 3 sentences, impressions I got from reading the book, how I discovered it, who should read it, how it changed me, and then if I want to, some quotes and summary and notes. So that's a non-fiction template. If we look into something like fiction, we've got, you know, instead it's what it's about, how I discovered it, my thoughts on the book, what I liked about it, who would like it, and related books, because these are in a series, so I link the series books together. I need to go in, I changed templates in the middle of this book database, so the new ones are the coloured books and then the old ones are the open books. So these are the ones that are still on my plate to go back and migrate to the new template. But no, that's easy enough to do thanks to Notion. Meal planner, again, I don't really use particularly because like this isn't example data I put in, but I don't really use it much because I don't eat the same things every day because I love food and I love variety. It's just, I have 1 slice of wholemeal toast and peanut butter for breakfast, a jacket potato and a filling of some description, whether it's butter and cheese and beans, tuna, sweet corn, you know, whatever, something like that for lunch. And then for dinner, I'll just, you know, because I live alone, I don't have a bunch of food in the, don't have a bunch of food sitting out. I tend to, you know, eat something, maybe get some chicken out and use that for 2 days, then get something else out the freezer. So I tend to sort of meal plan mentally when I do my grocery shops. I should get better at meal planning, but because I literally have the same lunch and breakfast and lunch every day, it makes it a lot easier for meal planning because all I have to think about is dinner. Talks is what you'd expect. That is talks in my repertoire. I've got a second copy of this in my other workspace, which we'll get to shortly. Board games is just what you expect in the tin. My Life OS is a template I bought from someone who usually on the YouTube channel Better Creating. It's quite involved, and if I might try and take the time and implement everything in it, but there's quite a few things in there. It's a journal, it's a clock, it's all these different things. The knowledge inbox, it's quite involved. Amazingly, he does share a user guide about how to fill it all out, so it is well worth investment. Then reviews will be when I start to do, regular reviews of myself, including the annual review that you saw me review. There's 2021, so that's what I use to do the video that I talked to you about. And then we've got Second Brain. So this is, again, is a bit of a blank template. At some point, I really want to take Building a Second Brain, the course. It's not that cheap. So it's an investment that I just want to decide to make. But I started this based on a video I was watching from Elizabeth Phillips, who is actually an excellent YouTuber herself, but is probably most notorious as first coming to fame as Ali Abdaal's personal assistant. But she did this video all about the Second Brain, where she's got things like a slip box and then drafts. I started to make this while watching along with the video, but because I've had a lot on recently, I've not had time to sort of try and implement this. But again, I think it's very similar to things like the note-taking system, so I just need to pick one and roll with it. So that's my personal workspace. We'll take a very quick look at my workspace. Ignore the other workspaces on there. A couple of people have enjoyed my life management systems, or I've mentioned wanting one. So I've duplicated my workspace and created people, removed the private data and made people ones for themselves. But yeah, so this is my work one. So this has got my accomplishments so far this working year. This is just work-based accomplishments, but if you don't already keep an accomplishments database of anything that you're proud of, whether it's finishing an article or someone saying something nice to you or getting good feedback, whatever it is, anything small that makes you feel good, store it somewhere, because it's really great to look back at on a tough day. So this is filtered out, so I archived all that are from like this last year. So if I want to look at the last year's, I can have a look at archived. So, you know, in the 6 months I worked at MongoDB, I did quite a few things I can be proud of. But yeah, I just go in and logged in. But that's what I was logging yesterday, so that's why it's the first one. But yeah, I've got a work dashboard as well. Very similar again. It's got a quote, the weather. It's got some quick links to other parts in the dashboard, so I can jump around if the dashboard grows. I've got daily tasks, so every day I will create a new daily task for that day, and I'll list anything that I want to get done that day. Then I've got projects, so projects are anything I'm working on at the moment and their status. So for example, the REST API article, that's in internal review, so it's in progress, but I don't need to do anything with it. Cloud computing types, I believe, is waiting to go live. You know, there's things, just they're projects that can be in very different states, from something I need to do to something else someone needs to do, but they're all there with dates in them. And these due dates aren't set in stone, but one of the important things with getting things done is, even if it's self-imposed, set a deadline for something that you work against. One of my biggest challenges is that I battle with these deadlines because my brain knows, hey, Luce, these deadlines are self-imposed. Like, who cares? But I do try really hard to get through that. And, you know, I just give articles relevant little icons each time I work on them. And then, for example, I've got fun stuff in here for 5-minute tasks. So, you know, stuff, this is old, but yeah, basically one of the things I try and do sometimes, I'm not doing as much at the moment, but, and that's a whole other video about what I'm doing at the moment instead of 5-minute breaks, but I was doing Pomodoro with an app that I've got on my Mac called Stretchly, and it's not just on Mac. You can have it browser based, you can have it as a Mac app. I believe there's a Windows app, and it's great. But the thing with Stretchly is that it encourages you to take breaks, because it actually sticks an application that you can't minimize on your screen to force you to take a break. You can set the frequency of the breaks, but you take a set of 4 short breaks, and then at the end you do a longer break. And the default is 5-minute break. So I wrote a list of things to do every time I hit a 5-minute break. What we're going to go and do, is it go and change the bed sheets? Is it put some more washing in? Is it, I'd say hang the washing up, but that tends to take more than 5 minutes. That's more of a lunchtime job. But just little things that will take fewer than 5 minutes, I just pop in my 5-minute tasks. And yeah, and then we've got other things going on. So I've got habit tracker, but this is dummy stuff that I wrote out as an example. And that's mainly it, to be honest, like for my work dashboard. The main thing I use my work dashboard for is to log my accomplishments and keep track of the projects I'm working on. So there you have it, friends. A quick guide to how I manage my life using the app Notion. If you want me to go over any sections in there in more detail, or you've got anything that you want to share or ask questions about, by all means drop them in the comment below and I will get to them, hopefully reply to them all, and maybe even share them in a future video. So until next time, friends, goodbye.